Show for today. The guest is Mr. Roland Jones, and the topic is his book, Standing Up and Standing Out. At the end of the first segment, Mr. Jones, I think you indicated that you are now an author and motivational speaker as well as a Toastmaster. Well, why don't you tell us in a real sense some of the things that you wish to accomplish and how you wish to accomplish it within the realm of your public speaking or motivational speaking career?
Well, you know, basically I begin every speech with the four most important words, excuse me, rather, two most important words that come from my mouth.
I know, good.
And you know what those words are?
That sounds like I ought to know.
That's exactly right. Stand up, stand out.
Out.
Now, those words are, for the most part, the most important words you hear me say, because it sets the tone for what I'm going to talk about. Principles of success.
Good.
They were first exposed to me 60 years ago from my grandmother, you know, RJones2. And she said to me and her other grandchildren, to be successful, you can't just be like everybody else. You got to stand up, and you got to stand out. Yeah. Now, Mama Tots herself was a strong, standout woman. She even stood about 6 feet tall. Yeah. And these are the kind of principles in my book, and these are the kind of principles I talk about. My dad was a Baptist minister.
Okay.
And he also was a pastor of a rural elementary school, a pastor of a church and principal of a rural elementary school in West Tennessee. And Daddy, you know, preached to my brother and me more than he did anybody else. And he always said, if you accept a job for a penny a day, never complain, just do your best, because God blesses a child who does his best. His favorite was always autograph your work with excellence. And then there's my favorite. You never lower yourself by doing any job. You dignify that job by doing your best.
Good.
Those are the things I speak about. I tell stories relating to those things. And one story I often tell is about my first day washing the trash cans at McDonald's. And it was hot too. It was in July 1965. I mean, really hot. And I always say, you know, hot with a capital H. You know? And I was scrubbing those cans, and the manager was on vacation, and he stopped by. You know, the assistant manager had been running things. He stopped by, and he went inside and talked to the other trainees, but he never looked my way. But I was scrubbing those trains, man, inside, outside, top, bottom, getting them, you know, getting them sparkling clean, man. I really was. And I was just about that close to saying I'm going to hang this up.
Quitting.
And then a customer walked over to him and says, "Those are the cleanest trash cans I've ever seen. You should give that young fellow a raise." And I'm going to tell you, man, it turned me on. I mean, I thought about Daddy. But I knew I was doing my best, dignifying the job, and I got from my work with excellence. And I love to tell that story because it means so much. Just doing my best.
What it did for you.
Right, and standing out. Those cans were standing out.
In spite of the fact of what the cans, you might have thought they represented, but now you've cleaned the cans the best that they could be cleaned.
Yeah, and I realized I didn't lower myself. You know, I dignified that job. And I love speaking about that because I think that's one of the most important principles of success is always do your best and stand out and not blend in. You stand out. When you do your best gets better, and you're going to always stand out. And that's my primary message. And as a matter of fact, the book has 409 pages of it. It ends with my principle is standing up and standing out. And the first principle is strive for barefoot service.
Strive for barefoot service.
That's exactly right. Now, if you don't know what barefoot service is, it's the kind so good to knock your socks off.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Which means you stand out if you give barefoot service. Satisfaction is not good enough. We must impress. To satisfy blends in. To impress stands out. And anytime we stand out by doing our best, we get better and better and better. And as the results are getting better, you know, we gain attention and we impress people. And people see us standing out, creating an opportunity for us to serve. And those are the kind of things I talk about. And also as a part of barefoot service, you know, we communicate that life is an exchange of services. And people complain about not making enough money.
Okay.
How I make more money? It's very simple. You give more and better service. Simple as that.
Okay.
And we talk about those kind of things. And service is a habit.
Good.
As all principles of success are habits. You form a habit of giving service. I can practice giving service on Dr. Haney. I practice giving service to my wife, friends, and everybody I meet is a potential customer. So that's, that is where the rubber meets the road in terms of you're moving forward rather than standing still.
You know, being one of the first franchisees in McDonald's, why don't you say something in reference to that? How did you become involved in that, and what would you suggest today if an individual watching this show might want to aim at something like that? What should they do?
Stand up
and stand out. And they have to start, in other words, they can start at a McDonald's franchise or a Wendy's franchise or whatever.
That's a good way to do it.
And be willing to do the job that others don't want to do.
That's exactly right.
In spite of the fact that they will be criticized and everything but the child of God and et cetera. And was that the kind of thing that you had to overcome?
But it was overcome, but it was a joy to do so. It was a joy to do so because I really realized as time went on how important it was to always do my best.
And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.